Hello. Happy Thursday. Excited for this live. I'm going to be talking about how to approach planning differently in 2023. And it's not that you have to approach planning differently in the sense that you planned wrong this year or that things didn't go as you wanted. It's more so life is all about evolving, right? As humans, we are meant to evolve and grow and learn and get better. And that is why I am really excited to share some ways that I suggest that you look at planning differently in 2023. Because if you're someone who is a high achieving person, who's ambitious, who has goals, which I'm pretty sure almost everyone on the planet has goals and things they want to achieve, right? I mean, if you don't, let me know. But for most people, that we have things we want to achieve and we may not be planning as effectively as we could be. So I'm going to talk about some ways that we could be planning better. I think we all know the importance of planning, right? We've heard it time and time again. If you don't plan, you plan to fail. I know I've heard that many a times. If you've heard that before, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you've heard that before and how you feel about that saying. I truly and wholeheartedly believe in that saying, but at the same time, I think it's more than just learning. Like it's more than just planning, because for some of us, we don't know how to actually effectively plan. And when we actually do plan, we don't know how to actually execute on it. And it's because our plans weren't as effective. And also there's other factors that go into why people don't execute. But for the most part, many of us don't know how to plan effectively. So much so that there's this stat that is just like mind blowing to me and it inspires me every single year because 80% of people give up on their New Year goals by February 1st. That is insane to me. That means only 20% of people actually keep going on their New Year's goals. They keep trying to achieve it after February 1st. And that's really, really crazy. And there's another stat that at the end of the year, there's only 8% of people who actually achieve the goals that they set out like on January 1st. So that means 92% of people are hyped. They're setting goals. They're probably making vision boards. Look at mine up there from last year. Or from this year. Like we're doing all of the things, but then come around this time, we're down on ourselves because we didn't achieve the goals, right? So there's so many people I see, they set these amazing goals and then they give up on them by February 1st. And I want to talk about why that happens. And I also want to share a little bit more about how you can be more intentional with your goals. So if you see me looking over, it's because I have wrote some notes down because I want to make sure that I'm hitting everything. And for anyone watching who doesn't know me, just discovering me, hi, hello. I'm a time management coach. My name is Sade Kelly, and I am here to serve ambitious people. I want to help ambitious people learn how to manage their time well so that they can actually achieve their professional and their personal goals in less time and without sacrificing their self-care. So I think a lot of us who are going after goals, the thing about it is we'll go so heavily that we tend to sacrifice on our self-care. I was literally just on a call earlier, right before this live actually, and I was talking to a woman and she was saying that, she's trying to go after her goals, but she's just so exhausted. She's so tired. Her work hours are so long and she's really struggling to like maintain the consistency that she would like. And for many of us, when we don't prioritize our well-being, what happens then is that we don't see the success that we want, right? Well-being is always going to be number one, taking care of yourself, taking care of you, making sure that you're good, because you can't be productive if you're exhausted, if you're not eating right, if you're not moving your body. Like, it's just not going to happen. So what I see for a lot of people and why they fail at achieving their goals, and if you don't know exactly what a goal is, I know it kind of seems like, duh, I don't know what a goal is, but I want to break it down. A goal is just an aim or a desired result, right? It's something that you are working towards. And funny enough, there's so many studies that show that for many of us, we don't care. Well, not that we don't care, but we don't get the highest level of enjoyment from hitting the goal, which is crazy. Like when I learned that, I was like, really? We don't get the highest level from like actually achieving the goal? We don't. We get the highest level of satisfaction and happiness from going on the journey to hit the goal. So the journey and the plan and the actions we're taking towards the goal is the most important part. It's the part that really lights us up the most. So that is the part that we really want to focus on. And what I see is a lot of people, they set way too many goals to the point where they just have a lot of desired outcomes that they want, but they don't have any clear plans on how to get to the outcomes. So what ends up happening is they have so many different goals. They're going in so many different directions. They have so many different things going on that they never really get towards where they want to go with their goal. So what ends up happening is they have a bunch of goals, and tell me if this is you. You have a bunch of goals. You start going the direction for some of them, but then you get easily distracted by all the different things you have going on in your life, and then a lot of the goals just end up not happening. Has that happened to you? I've seen that happen to a lot of people, and a lot of my clients, they deal with this. And I've dealt with this in the past too, until I got really, really good at setting goals and also setting plans up to hit the goals. Another thing I see happen all the time, people set really unrealistic goals. It's like if you, and I'm going to give some examples, and it's not to come for you, but it's just to show you like what, you know, the type of goals and things that I've seen happen. You said agreed. Yeah, exactly. So what I've seen for some people is they set these huge goals, right? Like let's say they started a business and they maybe having 1 or 2 clients, and they're like, all right, in my first year of business, I want to make like $1 million. Now that could happen. You never know. You might go viral on TikTok, and who knows what will happen for you. But for the most part, that's a really huge, unrealistic goal. And that's even more than what I would call a stretch goal. It's just kind of like outlandish and just like something that probably won't happen, right? So we have to learn how to set really realistic goals. It's also like the person who's like, I want to lose weight, but then they want to lose like 100 pounds in a month. It's just like, that's completely unrealistic. So if you feel like your goals are unrealistic, and that may be one reason why you're not hitting them. So having too many goals is a big one. Also setting those unrealistic goals. And also a lot of their goals are focused on a result a lot of the time and not the process. So like I was mentioning earlier, we get the most satisfaction when we're trying to hit a goal through the process. So when we set these goals and we don't set goals that actually involve the process, what happens is then that we end up going so hard to reach the goal, but not having the habits in place to actually reach the goal. So what I mean by this is like, let's say you want to lose 20 pounds in 3 months. Great goal, specific. Okay. Actually, that's actually really realistic. But what I've seen then is people will say, all right, I want to lose 20 pounds in 3 months, but then they haven't committed to the process, right? So what are some things you can do to hit that goal? And this is from personal experience, because I'm telling you right now, this is what I'm working towards. Some things that happen is, some tasks that you can do to actually get there is making sure you're getting your workouts in, right? Working out 3-4 times a week. Making sure that you're being intentional with your food and being mindful, eating healthy, eating whole foods, right? You need to set those tasks and those habits up into your everyday life in order to hit the goal. Otherwise, what happens is you end up being on this roller coaster of like getting close to hitting the goal, then going back. Maybe hitting the goal, but then going back and not hitting the goal, right? So that's also another thing that I see a lot. Another thing that happens, let me see, the problem is instant gratification. They think things are supposed to happen overnight. Yeah, so that's what happens when you're setting unrealistic goals, exactly. You tend to want this instant gratification, but when the key is when you can actually delay that instant gratification, that's when you get the most discipline. And when you are a disciplined person, you will notice that if you get disciplined in one area, like for me, the first area I would say I got really disciplined with was working out. And when I got really disciplined with that, it translated into my work life, and it got me promotions. It got me into full-time entrepreneurship, right? Learning how to be disciplined and how to delay instant gratification is going to be the number one thing I always tell clients. I tell people all the time, like if you're trying to get to a successful point that you want to get to, you really want high levels of success, you have to learn how to delay instant gratification. And I have other things that I talk about when it comes to discipline. I have plenty of content on that, but yes, I absolutely agree. So I went over a couple ways of why you fail at achieving their goals. So I went over having too many goals, having unrealistic goals, focusing on the goal so much that you forget about the process. The other two that I would talk about, or I would add on to that, is oftentimes people don't realize that habits are difficult to change without having a strategy to actually go about changing their habits. So if you are trying to approach changing a habit, it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to get consistent in 21 days. Most likely that's not going to happen. Now, a lot of us have heard, it takes 21 days to build a habit. And that is the least amount of time it could actually take. And what I've seen, and a lot of studies show that it can take up to 254 days to actually build a habit. But on average, most people can build up really great habits around the 66 to 90 day point. So if you have ever tried working on a habit, I would suggest that you look at it as a quarterly thing. And this works extremely well with my clients, right? They have these habits they want to build. And we look at them from a quarterly standpoint, 90 days. And that's how long they'll work towards building the habit up. And then by the time they're done with me, they're off and they have the tools to continue the habits on for the rest of their lives, right? The thing with like a lot of the programs that I teach is I teach you something up front. And then these are skills that are interchangeable for the rest of your life, right? So another thing that people do that hinders their goal setting, hinders them getting their goals is they don't reference their goals often enough. So if you're watching, how many of you actually look at your goals every single day? Most people do not look at their goals every single day. Like if you look at your goals every single day, comment me because I would love to know. I would love to know if there's other people out there who do that. A lot of people do not do that. If you're having problems achieving your goals and you want to approach planning differently, you have to be referencing what you're trying to achieve every single day. And you have to put it up wherever you can. Like I'm talking like your computer screen, your phone. You need to be referencing these goals again and again and again and again. Because what I've seen time and time again, and I feel this in my heart, right? I'm passionate about this because what I've seen is people, they set goals and they don't reference them, and they also get distracted by different directions instead of just going in one direction with clear set goals. Danny said, I do in my passion planner. Amazing. So are those goals getting achieved? Let me know if those goals are getting achieved also, because it's one thing to write it in the planner and reference it, but are you actually achieving and going after the goals too? I would love to hear that. I have a calendar on my wall and I mark off what I do per day. That's amazing. So do you feel good about your goals? Like, are they actually getting achieved or on your calendar? Or are these like things that you're working towards? Like, how are you approaching it differently? Is it working for you? I would love to know. But I love that you have it on your calendar. I also have a calendar on my wall that I reference too. So that's a really, really good thing to be doing. And if you have any questions for me as I'm talking, drop them. But I love that you're involved and we're chatting. Love that. So some things I would suggest, when I'm not being lazy. Yeah, that's the thing, right? A lot of times we expect for ourselves to be robots. And I would question that term lazy. I think sometimes we'll label ourselves as lazy because we think that we're supposed to be on 100 every single day. And showing up and being at 100 every single day would then make you perfect. And no one's perfect, right? None of us are robots. We are not computers. We need to shut down. And some days we need to do nothing. So I would love to hear a little bit more about like, why you think you're lazy? You're probably not lazy. You're allowed to have some off days, right? But the thing is, the key is always to have more on days than off days. So I like to reference an 80-90% rate of doing well, 80%, 90% rate of like following what I say I'm going to be doing and committing and showing up. And then I have like my 10% of like, let myself do what I want to do and let myself be free, because we need that flexibility, especially as humans. No, I'm being honest. I know when I'm being lazy. Okay. All right. So then what are some challenges? Is there anything I can help you with? Let me know in the comments. But going back to what I was saying. So approaching planning differently. So I'm going to go through a couple of different points that I wrote out because I know these are going to be really, really impactful for people for next year. So when it comes to approaching your planning, I want you to get really intentional with it. So some people like planning, right? And some people don't. And I always think that point is funny because I actually coached someone through this the other day. They were saying, oh, I don't like planning. I feel so restrictive. I don't want to time block my whole day out. And to them, I said, we all have routines and plans in place. Like whether we want to admit it or not, we all follow a pretty similar schedule or routine day to day. Even if we're not being intentional about it, if we sit back and reflect on it, we probably are, right? So when that client was saying, I don't like planning, I don't like to feel rigid, I like flexibility, I was like, absolutely, you can do that. But at the end of the day, do you feel satisfied with what you got done? She was like, no, most days I don't. And I explained to her that that's happening because you're not planning in your responsibilities and your actual work priorities, right? So if we can plan in the time to get our priorities done as quickly as possible, then go have that flexibility, go have that lazy time, go have that fun time. That's what I'm about. Honestly, I'm all about like, let's get so good at our time management that our priorities, our tasks that we really need to get done are checked off. They're blocked out, they're done. Maybe even by like 1 p.m. if you're really good, right? And then the rest of the day, you can do whatever the heck you want, depending on like what you do and what your schedule is, obviously. But that's the whole point of like getting really good with your time. It's let's get our responsibilities knocked out of the way. But for others, it's they don't even make the time to have fun. They don't even make the time to connect with others, connect with themselves. They're not making the time to make sure they're getting effective sleep. They're worrying about everybody else and not themselves, right? Those are the times when it's like, take a step back and get more intentional about like, what's a routine that you can follow? What's a schedule that you can follow? Planning doesn't need to be rigid. You get to design and choose your life. Planning, if you really think about it, is you being proactive in choosing and reclaiming your time, right? That's all planning is. So if you don't like planning, that means you don't like to own your time. You don't like to be proactive about your life. And if you're really trying to own your life next year, you really want to like step into it with a different energy and really take charge, I'm going to need you to plan every single day, right? Plan every single day out. And that doesn't mean you have to sit down and plan every single day word for like, sit down and actually create a plan every single day. But one thing you can do each month, take some time to just plan out what are some things you want to accomplish in this month. Each week, take some time to plan out what do you actually want to accomplish in this week. And then have certain priorities, 3 or 4 things you want to get done each day. And if you're doing that and you're being intentional about it, there's no way you're not going to hit your goals. It's going to happen. It's inevitable at that point. So make sure you're doing things on purpose and you're being deliberate. That is the one thing. If you're trying to approach planning differently next year, I need you to just look at it as something that's on purpose, something that's deliberate. The next thing I want you to do, so the first thing was get intentional about your planning. The next thing I want you to do is make sure you're setting specific and also challenging goals. I totally agree with you. Thanks. I'm glad this is making sense. And I'm glad that you're here and watching. I appreciate you being here. So setting specific goals is going to be really, really important. Oh, I need a sip of water. So a lot of people will set goals and they're not specific, or even when they set tasks for the day, they're not specific. So what does that look like, right? A vague goal would be something like, I want to read more, or I want to launch a coaching service. Those are just super vague. Those sound like dreams to me, right? Dreams are kind of like fluffy sometimes. But really specific goals are, I want to read 2 books in January, right? And then you list out the 2 books that you want to read. That's a specific goal. It's measurable. You can see it. You know, right, I want to read these 2 books. So now what I need to do is map out how many times I'm going to read each day, for how long, how many pages. If the book is 200 pages, was 200 pages divided by 2 weeks. And then bam, I finished a book, right? Those are specific goals with specific tasks that you can actually level up and achieve. That's a very simple example, but that can also get done with something like launching a coaching service. If that's your larger goal, which I feel like is a dream, launching a coaching service is not specific, is not a specific goal. But if you say, hey, I want to enroll 12 people into my signature coaching program in 2023, and I want to have the program mapped out, launched, and up and running by March 1st, 2023. That is a goal that gets you off your ass, right? Like, that's going to put a fire in your belly, because it's literally a specific goal with a specific deadline. All you then need to do is give yourself the specific task that you can work towards in a realistic time frame to get to achieve the goal. And that's something I don't see people doing all the time. A lot of times they're not setting specific goals that are also challenging. There has to be some challenging aspect to the goal, because if it's too simple to reach, most likely you're going to give up on it, or you're not going to feel motivated to do it. You really want to make sure that your goals are things that align with you, that you feel like connected to, and they're things that also are challenging you and also kind of, push you to want to actually achieve them, because people believe like they need to be confident before they go out and achieve goals. But honestly, confidence comes from doing really challenging things. When you do scary things, when you do challenging things, a lot of times those are the things that make you feel so confident. Those are the things that if you're like going towards and you actually achieve them, they make you feel so proud of yourself. Okay, I see some comments. So what's your program about? I'll support it. So I have a group coaching program. I also have a one-on-one coaching program, and I have 30-day coaching. So I have 3 offers, but I'll tell you about the group coaching program, because that's what I was referencing when I was talking about the client. So I have a group coaching program. It's called Overwhelmed to Organize. It is a time management program where I holistically help you change your complete outlook on time management, change your behaviors, your habits, help you get clear on your roadmap towards how to achieve your goals. And then we also talk about how to become consistent, how to set up healthy boundaries, how to create a system in your work and your personal life so you can actually achieve your goals. And you learn the tools that'll keep you going on, honestly, forever. So that's what my program is about. It's called Overwhelmed to Organize. And launching it in January. It's already ongoing now, but I'm having a relaunch in January. So if you are interested in that program, all you do is just DM me, let me know you're interested, and then I'll give you the application so you can apply. All right. Harper's dad said, my goal is to lose 40 pounds, but broken down to 5 pounds a month. Okay, that's great. That's a very clear and specific goal. What I would challenge you to now do is figure out what habits you need to implement into your life to make that goal happen, right? It's nice to say, I want to lose 40 pounds and I'm going to lose 5 pounds per month. If you think losing weight is that simple, you got nothing coming, okay? It is not always that calculated and that simple. I see some hearts because y'all probably relate to that, but it's, oh, hey, the workflow strategist. Hey, girl. Hey, Shatika. Stop being lazy. No, that is not, that is not a specific habit, right? That's a character trait that you claiming. I would say get really granular about, if you really want to lose this weight, get really granular about what are the tasks that I need, not the tasks, but the habits I need to develop in order to become a person who loses 40 pounds, right? I think when we're approaching goals, we don't always think about, okay, what identity do I need to become? Like, who do I need to become in order to make this goal happen? Do I need to be, so for me, because losing weight is something I can relate to because I've been on that journey. So I had to become someone who went and worked out, right? I had to figure out, all right, if I'm going to become a fitness girl, I got to figure out what type of fitness I like. So if you need to become a fit person, what type of fitness do you like? How often are you going to go? How are you going to approach nutrition? Because you can't just lose all the weight in the gym, right? Nutrition is like majority of how you lose weight. It's like 80%, I think they say, and 20% in the gym. So like get really specific about what habits do you need to develop next year or right now in order to hit that goal, and then really drill down on the process, and that is how you're going to hit the goal, focusing on the process. If you need help developing a process, I would definitely recommend that you come to my 2023 goal setting workshop. It's called Your Best Year Yet, because I literally am putting this workshop on because I want to make it your best year yet. If you're an ambitious person and you want 2023 to be your best year yet, and when I say your best year yet, I say that in the sense of every year we should be leveling up, right? Every year we should be getting better and better. And I've gotten way better this year. My planning, my goals I've achieved has honestly blown my freaking mind. And I want to help people develop a plan like this and do it for their next year. So right now I'm offering this workshop at an early bird price. It's honestly so cheap. I can't believe I'm doing it like this. And honestly, I put a price tag on it because I know if people pay, they pay attention. Period. Like, they'll show up, they'll actually do the work. I put together a workbook that maps out how exactly you can achieve your goals and all the activities that I'm going to be walking you through during the workshop. It's literally a workshop. I'm going to be teaching, I'm going to be coaching, but I'm also going to be literally doing work with you, right? We're going to be really planning and drilling in on what are your 2023 goals, how are you going to get there? Boom, you leave off with a plan that you feel confident about. And we're going to be doing some really good reflection on 2022. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be awesome. If you're interested in that, head to the link in my bio and get your ticket. Early bird price is going to end next week. So let me go back to what I was talking about, though, because I feel like I went on a little bit of a tangent. But I was sharing some ways to how to approach planning differently. So I talked about being very intentional and making sure that you are planning with intention, right, with purpose. I also talked about making your plans specific and making them also challenging. Your goals need to be specific. They need to have specific habits and tasks that you're doing on your day-to-day basis to hit the goal. You need to be referencing them very often. And the next thing I wanted to talk about was making sure that you're tracking your progress. This is something I see a lot of people struggle with, and they just feel like they come to me. A lot of clients come to me and they're like, oh, I feel like I'm not making progress on something. And to them, I always say, if you're not tracking your progress, you're not going to know whether or not you're making progress, right? Like, things that aren't measured don't get done. At the end of the day, it's just so true. I would recommend for any habit you're trying to build, start tracking it, create a habit tracker, and really get down to like tracking those habits. And I'm going to be giving these things away at my workshop, just so you get a little preview of how to actually measure and track your goals, your habits, how to reflect on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, yearly basis even too. So that way you're making sure that you're going in the right direction. It doesn't mean that once you set a goal in the beginning of the year that you have to keep it if you no longer want to achieve that goal, but you have to know how to also adapt, react, and how to approach your planning in a way that makes sense for you and your lifestyle. I'm very like fluid in my approach. So that is something I definitely recommend. Having trackers gonna change your life. And then the last thing I want to talk about is something around mindset, because I've seen this a lot and I actually saw it in myself, and it was one of the things I learned this year that actually really changed the way I see goal setting, and it changed the way like I view myself. So it's getting out of the dichotomy mindset. If you don't know what dichotomy mindset is, oh my goodness, it's going to change your life. So essentially, the dichotomy mindset is a tendency to think in black and white, in a black and white mindset, meaning like you think in extremes. It's either something has to be like really, really great, or it has to be super, super bad. Like it's either like it's the best or it's the worst, right? And I had never heard of like this dichotomy mindset, black and white thinking. And honestly, it came about because my therapist was like, you know what? You kind of have tendencies of doing that. She's like, you either think something's going to be the best or you like think it's going to be the worst. And you're driving yourself into this anxious place. There's no gray or middle ground. And I had never really thought of myself in that way. And I was just like, wow, I thought that was like how I was supposed to think about things. But no, that keeps you back. Like it really helps. It stops you from making any type of progress, because at the end of the day, like you're literally putting so much pressure on yourself and you're not giving yourself any fluidity. And it's so mind blowing that I was always thinking of things like right or wrong and not being able to like get out of this perfectionist like mindset. I was so stuck on like having to be at 100, having to get everything right. And I know where that comes from, but I think learning a duality mindset, which is gonna help you if you have a dichotomy mindset, learning about duality, learning that there are two contrasting things. Things can be mutually exclusive, right? You can have different choices, you can have different realities, right? Accepting that everything's gonna be okay, right? Things are not nor good nor bad. Things can always just be okay, and they can exist at the same time. And it may sound simple to some people, but for me, it was like, wow, I need to learn how to just be adaptable. I need to learn how to like tweak and test and adjust as I go, and not think everything's right or wrong, and just take things as like, it is what it is, and I can keep going. And as long as you keep going, nothing is a failure at the end of the day. So I would say go into this year approaching it with a duality mindset, thinking through like things are always going to be okay. Anything I'm going through, I'm going to get past. At the end of the day, if something bad is going on in your life, it's there for a reason, right? Like it's teaching you something. And if everything was always good, then the bad thing, like you need bad, right? I feel like I got my words messed up right there. What I'm trying to say is that you need bad things to happen, because then the good things wouldn't feel so good if you didn't have it, right? So we need a duality of different things, and we get to have fluidity. We get to have a gray area. We don't need to think of things as like, I need to be perfect. We can think of things as if I can just be okay with where I'm at and still keep going. And it reminds me of that quote. It's like, I can be a masterpiece and a work in progress all at the same time. That right there encompasses that duality mindset. You can be amazing, confident, the best you, but also be trying to improve and get better and evolve, because you're a person, and that's how life works, right? So that is how I would approach planning differently in 2023. Just to recap, because I love a good recap, I talked about being intentional and purposeful with your planning, setting specific and challenging goals, tracking your progress along the way, and also letting go of that dichotomy mindset and accepting a duality mindset instead, and giving yourself some freaking grace. If anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I would love to answer anything that you guys have. I hope that this was valuable, that you learned something. I'm really into planning for 2023 this month. Essentially, all my lives this month have been around that topic. Like last week, I went live with another friend of mine who's a coach, and we talked about how to prepare for 2023. This week, I wanted to show you guys how to approach planning differently, and some things that I'm even thinking through based on my own progress this year, and how much I was able to like really scale my business. It grew a lot this year. So these are just some things that I wanted to share. Thanks for the information. All right, awesome. I'm glad this was helpful. And then again, of course, if you want more of this, of course, I'm going live every Thursday talking about these things, but I'm also going to be doing my workshop. It's called Your Best Year Yet, 2023 Goal Setting. And my pure purpose for this live is to really grow the stat that I was mentioning earlier. So 80% of people give up on their goals by February 1st. I want to decrease that stat. I know it's a huge goal, but it is one of one of my goals, right? Is to help people get past February 1st. Like literally, I want you to be part of that 8% of people, or I want to grow that 8% of people who at the end of the year actually achieve their goals. The fact that 92% of people don't achieve their goals by the end of the year blows my mind, and it makes me incredibly sad, because I am someone who's been able to learn how to actually set goals in a way where I can achieve them by the end of the year. And even if I didn't, I know how to adapt them so I can keep going to achieve them in a different year or a different quarter. So I want to help as many people as I can to do that this year. So I'm going to be hosting my workshop on December 28th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is literally going to be a workshop. Like, I'm going to be teaching you goal setting techniques. I'm going to help you reflect on 2022. I'm going to help you develop some insights and feedback to inform you for the new year, and then we're actually going to plan out your goals together. So if you already have an idea of what your goals are, that's perfect, because then we can really get down to the nitty gritty of like, here's a template where you can create your tasks, your deadlines for the tasks. You can map things out quarterly and think through how you're going to make a plan for your weekly and your daily goals so you can get there. If you are interested in that, head to the link in my bio. I would love to have you there. Right now, the early bird ticket is still available. It is available until next week, and that's when the ticket price is going to go up. But for right now, it's literally a steal. It's $35, which is crazy, right? Like, it's super low for the amount of value that you're going to get. You're going to be able to walk away with a plan for your year, a workbook that maps everything out that you can reference all throughout the year. And also, you're going to get some coaching from me, and I charge premium prices for my coaching. So this is honestly an amazing, amazing opportunity to get some help on planning your goals. And honestly, who wouldn't want that at the end of the day, right? We all, if you're someone who wants to grow and learn and get better, then I highly suggest that you join this workshop. I'm really excited about it. I've been working on the slides and they're so good. If you've ever been in one of my workshops, I'm a lot of fun. I love to intertwine a lot of talking, interaction. It's going to be on Zoom, so it's going to feel like as much as I can, feel like we're in person, but it's virtual. So yeah, that is what I'll be doing December 28th at 6:30. I hope to see you there. Head to the link in my bio to get your ticket now. And I'm going to head off of this live, and it will be saved and be on my page. But if you have any questions, last call. I'm answering anything you have. I don't see any, so I'll hold on for a second. But if you have any questions, let me know. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have at all. Okay. No, it doesn't look like anyone has any questions. So if you do happen to have anything come up, feel free to hit me up in the DMs or comment under this live, and I'd be happy to answer anything that you guys have. But I am wishing you a wonderful 2023, and I cannot wait to hopefully see you in the goal setting workshop. I'm really excited about that, and I hope you have an amazing night. Thanks for tuning in and showing support. Really appreciate you guys being here tonight.